Well, look at this beautiful person, listener on the podcast. You're like, well, we can't see him, but you're missing out. You're missing out looking at Ryan Divish, who joins us for his Friday visit, brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941 in Tacoma's Proctor District. Big thanks to the Frederick family. They have been operating that fine bowling alley for 40 years, and they bring you Ryan Divish every Wednesday and Friday. Go check out Chalet Bowl. They specialize in customer service and for your bowling, food, and fun experience. They got 12 unique lanes. Go to chaletbowl.com. Make your next reservation. I'm inside the Puck Sports Studios built by Limback Lumber. Contact the folks at Limback Lumber at 206-782-3487 or visit them at limbacklumber.com for all of your summer do-it-yourself projects. Man, I felt like I just saw you. This morning, I'm flipping back and forth between two of my favorite things. One, I love the Open Championship. It's right there for the Masters for me. I just love the early morning golf. I love links golf. And then I love MLB Central on the MLB Network. I've been missing it this week. They haven't been on this week. And then they're back on Friday because the second half of the season is underway. And lo and behold, at 7:40 this morning, Ryan Divish is on. You looked great.
Thanks.
Yeah. Now, why aren't you wearing the Rowdy Roddy Piper t-shirt?
I spilled coffee on it shortly after I got off the...
Spilled coffee on that beautiful t-shirt. It was a little snug on you. Now, I think that's because you've been working out. You got big arms now.
No, I haven't been working out. The Stingray bite is still bothering me. So,
is it really? For people who don't remember, on Wednesday's show, Ryan told everyone that he got stung by a stingray down in Newport Beach. It's still not normal. It still hurts.
Yeah, I got a cankle still.
Well, so welcome to my club.
Yeah, but I mean, like I take great pride in the skinny ankles and big calves that I normally have, and so I have a cankle on the one side. It's all it's kind of discolored, and there's a big hole in my leg still. My girlfriend is starting to get a little worried, but
what do you mean? There's a big hole in your leg?
Well, there's a hole where the stinger went into my leg, and so it's not big.
Is it patched up?
Well, no. What do you mean patched up?
Well, do you have something around it, or is there just a big hole there? I mean, come on.
No, I had a Band-Aid on, but she said that I need to let air get on there. So, yeah, I think it's better. My foot's purple in a lot of spots, but it looks like an ankle sprain. Honestly, it does, and it feels better than an ankle sprain. But I don't know. I'll probably go work out here in a little bit, and
I'm with Cindy. I think you need to have it looked at.
Yeah,
I think by somebody else rather than the bro surfer lifeguard.
Oh man, and I don't think I mentioned this, but like my girlfriend was in heaven.
Oh, I'm sure he was dreamy.
Well, it wasn't just one because I'm at the lifeguard station, so it's just a random collection of dudes in their mid-20s and then older dudes in their late 30s that are all just shredded.
Yeah, and
like not an ounce of body hair on them because apparently the Newport Beach lifeguard system is sponsored by like one of those Apple lady things or whatever, those laser hair.
You don't have to have no chest hair. You got to get it off.
And then they all wear the board shorts kind of low, and they got and they're all like, "What's up, bro, dude? How's that ankle, man? How you doing?" And Cindy's just like, "Hi."
You need some.
She tweeted. She checks at her friends. There's a lot of great scenery here at Newport Beach, and she's like stealing my jokes. She's stealing my lines.
But good for her. That's what it should be like. You know what? I'm proud of Cindy. Proud. Yeah. You branch out. There are bigger and better things than the person that you're with. All right. Well, here on today's show, we are going to cover the Logan Gilbert decision by the Mariners.
Do we have to?
Yes, we do. There was a TED Talk. There was a Jerry Talk this week.
Yeah.
I want to talk about batting averages with you, and then the new age of social media reporting.
Oh God. Okay. What are we going in? Let's go. Let's
I want to get right into Gilbert. I know you're going to try and tell me what it makes sense. I just think it's one of the more asinine decisions. I'll just say I don't get it.
I'll ask him. I'm like, I'll legitimately, I'm going to ask him like every day now. I've decided because he always calls the lunacy on my Twitter timeline my friends.
Who's that? No, who's this? Who's this? Service?
He always jokes your friends on Twitter. So I'm like, believe me, Scott. I told him the day I quit.
Do you know what his burner account is?
No, I don't. He has a new one. But like I told him, like the day I quit, like there'll be just how Marshawn put the shoes up on the clothesline.
What
Mine
are you
is
going to
be
up?
like double bird fingers, and then a sight of a bridge exploding, because I plan to burn every bridge on the way out. Like once I'm done, I'm just gonna.
What are you going to ask? Like how do you set it up? Like
I'll just say, hey,
what's the decision? Why didn't you not pitch him?
My video's like, hey, I got a bunch of Twitter followers complaining about your decision to slot out the rotation. Can you explain it? And he'll say,
don't put it on the Twitter, people. Just,
because I already know no, you know what? I'll say is this: Scott, this is one of those questions that I already know the answer to, but I'm going to ask you anyways.
Okay, but what's the answer?
He'll say that because they didn't want Wu to go 9.5 days or 10 days without pitching, and that they wanted to slot it out so everybody has the same amount of rest since Logan pitched on the Sunday, and that he'll say that, that they're perfectly comfortable with Brian Wu competing against the Astros, and that they feel like Brian Wu has just as good a chance of beating him as Logan. And but
that's not true, though.
No, but that's what they'll say. I mean, and then I can't just sit there. Well, you're lying. Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Could you? You know what you need? At these press conferences, you need a gavel.
I know.
And hit it. Excuse me.
I can't.
Point of order. I disagree.
They're not they're not under oath to he said this before we left. I asked him what the rotation would be slotted out like, and he said that they were planning on pitching Brian Wu in the first series coming out of the break because they didn't want him to sit too long, because it's been so, I'm going to use a good word, staccato with how he's pitched because of the injuries and the workload and being careful hey, shut up! There's a rooster. Can you hear the rooster?
Of course I can hear it. To me, it's great. It's great ambiance. But
this is their reasoning is more about Wu than it is about Gilbert. They'll say, obviously these games are important, but they have more games against the Astros. They do slot out towards the end because they'll want to slot it out so that last week of the season
he'll pitch against them, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not he'll pitch against them. It's if you go baselines, if you just take it out with normal rest and incorporating the off days and everything else, so they get the extra day of rest. He's scheduled to start the last game of the season. And,
I know, against Oakland. I mean,
okay,
that last game could be nothing.
Well, and then you can reslot again because if it means nothing, then it doesn't matter, like they did before. But they'll do it that way, so it's lined up. So if you look, they'll have Castillo, Kirby, and Gilbert set up so that when they go into the postseason, all they have to do, whatever, is slot those guys in, and then they have it set up for that. I don't. So yeah, in a sense, it's worth 2 when you're playing the Astros. But to me, if you get caught up in 3 games in July, that these are going to be the be all end all, then you're not seeing the whole thing. To me, they got to win 89 games or 90 games to win the division. So just focus on getting those wins. And I think that's kind of how they're looking at it as well, is focus on getting the certain number of wins. And if Brian Wu, you've worked so hard to get Brian Wu healthy and pitching well, that if you do something in the moment that affects Brian Wu for more starts down the road, then that's a problem. I think that's why they're doing it. I think there's a lot of factors. I think it's not just, as I wrote on Twitter, it's not just Scott Service that makes this decision.
Sure.
They have the pitching coaches, the analysts, their training staff. They're looking at all this stuff. I mean, the one thing about the Mariners, and you can say this with the exception of Brian Wu, all 4 of their other starters have made every turn. And that I'd have to go look, and I do think they've had the fewest number of starting pitchers this year. They have a reason for they do all this stuff. We sit there and,
sure,
Mariners fans can't be all this about how they have a pitching lab and how they build pitchers out of nothing, but then get mad when they make decisions based on pitching health too. I mean, they're very smart at the pitching aspect of it all. They've been really good at it. So this is why they're doing it. if they felt like if they felt like this games were like the playoff games or whatever, and you had to win these, because I don't think these are must win. I don't think they're a must win at all. Like, you should win.
Well,
if you can
nothing's a must win until the end of the season.
Yes.
But I would say this to them. I would say this to Scott Service.
Don't overthink it.
Yes, exactly. You can always pivot at the end of the year if you want to line him up. They can manipulate.
Well, no, they have 9 off days. I think this is more about Wu than it is about the last day of the season. But you slot it. So like when you slot your rotation, you do it backwards. So it's like when they do it for spring training, like that's how you automatically knew. And I mean, it wasn't like a real surprise.
Well, whether they give Brian Wu 10 days off or 5 days off, in all likelihood with him, something's going to happen. He's going to go 4 innings, and he's going to be out of the game because that's just what. And we all love Brian Wu, but that's just been Brian Wu's MO. Unfortunately for him,
there's been games where he goes 5 and 6. I mean, like they had him supposedly. He had different, like his All-Star break. He had to throw. I asked him about it too. He was going to throw. I don't know, because I think he was just hanging out here, him and Cal, because they live together. So he probably threw to Cal. But like if they could have set it up the way they wanted to, they would have optioned Brian Wu to Tacoma and made him make a start. But because Tacoma is also on an All-Star break and all the affiliates are on a league-wide All-Star break, they could have had to send him to Arizona. And then there's a minimum time amount where you have to stay down to bring him back up. And the way the schedule works, the turn would have come up. So then they would have had to use Diaz or Hancock or a bullpen start. So I think they figure, look, we'll just pitch Wu coming out of the break, then we'll go. Because like Gilbert, let me ask you this though.
But what is one extra day for Brian Wu?
I don't know. What is one extra game? I mean, what is one game versus the other?
Because I think it's the perception of you've got your biggest series of the year to date. And I agree with you. Nothing is a must win starting July 19th. All right. I do though. And I think we get caught up in this in baseball, where we tend not to think that every game counts.
Oh no, I think they believe, but like, again, like if they don't believe that Brian Wu can compete against the Astros, then what is he doing on the?
Well, I think he can. He's only made one start against him. I think he can. I think Brian Wu can compete against anybody. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone that doubts his stuff.
The thing is this: regardless of who starts, it isn't like if these 3 guys, whoever goes out there is going to.
No one's going to score runs for him.
Yeah, it's like no, seriously, like. Do you really expect any of the starters, even Logan, to go up there and shove it up their ass for 7 innings? And then, like, even then, you still got to cover
17 runs.
Yeah, like, I posted today how many times they've scored 2 runs or fewer or 3 runs or fewer and what the record is. Like, even if you got a quality start from Logan, that doesn't mean you're going to win. And, like, the number of times that they've scored 2 runs or fewer and won a game, not very high. So it's like, it's not about, like, the starting pitching matters. And I get why people are upset. They have bigger long-term plans. They think that this is more important, that this has a longer effect on the season by pitching Brian Wu. They believe that Brian Wu can compete against these guys. I mean, I think we know this, though, Jason. If you don't get Brian Wu in a place where he gets some more routine and comfortable, they're not going to get to where they want to get to anyways. Sure. Because if you're bringing up Hancock or Jonathan Diaz to be your 5th starter, that's still a step down comparatively. So I think their impetus here is like, hey, we got to get Wu going a little bit because we need him to be really good. And that's fine. Like, I think in their mind, they believe, he'll give them a competitive start and they're going to have to hit. To me, if they don't score 4 runs, at least 4 runs in each of these games, they're going to lose. They're not going to win. I mean, that's the problem. Houston's offense is too good. They're going to score runs off you. You have to score with them, and that's been the issue. Like we can sit there and hand wring over it, and like when I made the point that they slotted out so he's there, they just don't want to get caught where they have to reshuffle everything in the last week. They want these guys to be on their normal kind of routine. This also offers Logan a chance, who was at the All-Star break and didn't get to do his, I don't know if he brought his water ball and all that other stuff and got to do all of his normal routine. This allows him to get into his routine as well, like get all of his in-between start stuff. and then go from there. I mean, like, it's by doing it this way, then everybody kind of works off the same amount of time off.
What do you think he feels about it, though? You know him. What do you think he feels about it? What do you think the ultimate competitor in this guy, the guy that goes into a different whole mindset personality when he steps out on the mound? What do you think he feels about being not pitching in this series? I mean, he knows how important it is.
I think he probably
think he's all on board.
I don't think Logan processes it that way. I think he looks at like it's hard to beat any team. Just go out and win the games you're scheduled to work. Like to me, and he kind of mentioned this. He's like he can't worry about all that stuff because I even asked him about like starting the last day of the season and not getting to pitch in the All-Star game. He was like, well, it was my turn. He's like, why should everybody else have to adjust just so I can pitch in the All-Star game? Like this is my turn. This is when you got to go out and win this game. They didn't, obviously, but like I think these guys, if they're smart, they can't get caught up in all of this. They have to just focus on what it is their job is at hand. And I'm sure they know they're not stupid, but at the same time, like if Logan sits there and gets upset about not starting versus the Astros, then it'll just affect him in a start against the Angels.
What do you think Houston thought of, though? These guys. What do you think Houston thought when they saw the probables come out? What do you think their reaction was?
I think I'm sure they were a little surprised, but at the same time, like nobody enjoys hitting off of Brian Wu either.
Again, and this is not just, and I don't want this to seem like Brian Wu is terrible. Brian Wu has as much talent as anyone on this roster from a pitching standpoint, as much. And it's tantalizing to watch. The problem is that he just can't stay healthy, work deeper into games. And that's just been a struggle with him for this year. He's coming off a terrible start, by the way.
Yeah.
He's pitched twice since June 24th.
And I think that's why they want to just pitch him to get him going again, like get the feel back for his pitches. I don't know if Alvarez is going to play in this series. He's dinged up a little bit.
Let's hope not.
But like,
nice.
Tucker's not there.
Yeah, he's not back. When is he supposed to be back?
What?
Do we know when he's supposed to be back?
They don't know. They don't have a timetable. So,
God.
So like if Tucker is not back, and if Alvarez is there or not, but if those two are gone, then those are two big left-handed bats that are out of the lineup, then that helps Wu. I mean, like, I think, again, like, I don't think that they're thinking, one, I don't think they view this as must win, like the whole series. And, you got two good guys going too. Like the big thing for the Mariners is this, like they should think about getting to whatever the win they think is going to win, like 90 wins or whatever.
Sure.
And then maintain that, and then they did the work in the first half by going 5-2. If they just split, then they win the season series, and then that's all that matters because there is no playing game anymore.
But that is an important factor. If you don't win the tiebreaker, and this is why I think it does come back down to every game matters.
Yeah, but they also have
these guys.
They have a 5-2 cushion in it. They went 5-2. The thing is like there's 6 less games.
Sure.
In the division series is now like before. I mean, like, they would have already played 9 times already before
9 times.
9, and then they would have 10 more after that, or they would have played 10 times. Like 19, 6 games off of division foes. That's a big deal, and that's they don't have that. So you look at it either way. Like I truly don't give a fuck who they start. Like,
well,
it doesn't,
know,
like that's why, but that's like the thing is like that's why people are like sit there and like, how could you be?
What's playing right now? Hold on. Yeah. Something that's playing on my computer.
Yeah, it's probably from my dropping of the F-bomb.
No, I was trying to look up Luis. I want to know what Castillo does against Houston.
Not great, is comparatively.
Yeah,
I mean, like because he had the 2 bad starts last year against them. But like this, and people always sit there and say like, "Oh, you got to be a fan," or or how can you not be a fan? Like if I was a fan and got pissed off. Yeah, if I was a fan and got pissed off at everything, like that's why you can't really be a fan and do this, right?
Well, I don't think I don't think you should go. No one should go in there today and go down there and ask them questions as a fan. Like that's why, like for me, I wouldn't. If not, it's not my role anymore to do that stuff. But I do think
like that's what I'll just say to Scott. I'll be like, hey, yeah, I'm pretty certain I know the answer to this, but I got to ask because you got to say it. Because again, like I can sit there and tweet it out and stuff, and I gotta quit doing that, like tweeting out like kind of stuff like that, because like most of these people that follow me don't subscribe, and ultimately that does me no good. Though I think I can get paid from Twitter, so maybe I should try.
You should start getting paid for Twitter. I don't think we should give any of this stuff out for free. For God's sakes, my God!
Yeah.
I mean,
so but like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see why people are upset, and they view it as like this are a must win and this and that. To me, if there's 63 games left or whatever, I don't know that it's must win. And yes, one win counts, but like if him
pitching against Houston, in which you are throwing, like when we talked on Wednesday, I don't think they had set it up yet, and I think I asked you what's it going to be, and I think you even said, well, I would expect Logan Gilbert to be in there.
Well, I figured they would just go normal rest,
because today would be his normal rest.
Yeah, but like they want to give everybody the extra day, and they want to kind of do it all.
But
equal.
He could go.
But
Saturday.
I remember I mentioned it though. Scott said that Wu was going to start. I tweeted it out that Scott said.
But why not? Here's what I would ask: if they are I think putting your best three against these guys trumps getting Brian Wu back on track. And I think, and again, it's just my opinion, that you could go one more day with Brian Wu, and then look who Brian Wu gets to pitch against.
They're the team that racked him last time.
Well, well, fair point. But what's a better lineup? I mean, honestly, because that was happened last time. But I mean, he gets to go against a worse lineup than he would face in Houston.
But then then he's facing them in back-to-back starts, whereas Houston's only seen him once in 2 years. How many times have the Angels seen Brian Wu? I don't know. I mean, the Angels lineup, I don't even know half the guys who they are. So
neither do I.
So like. Yeah, I mean, like you can sit there and make arguments because you could sit there and say it's like, okay, well, this one game, these games matter, but like if you think that like Wu, like if you're trying to get Wu on track and this delays the process for 2 more starts or whatever, or they think that this is more important to because like again, like you want Brian Wu to be healthy and pitching well because he's going to be making a lot more starts. They want to keep these guys on the extra day rest. They have 9 off days in the second half,
which is unbelievable.
Yeah, which is big. Like,
yeah,
it's not unbelievable. It's freaking magical. Okay, Jason, it's magical to have.
It's good. It's good for them.
But no, it's good for me.
Oh, good for you. I forgot it's all about you.
Yes,
it's good for you and good for them.
I mean, like, yeah, you can make the arguments either way, but like when the people are sitting there and they say, "Oh, they don't care." Or they think Serv is just pulling shit out of a hat. Like, no, like there's a lot that goes into this, and they have reasons for everything they do. And their ultimate goal, I mean, like at the baseline level, is to win. Like they don't control the roster or anything like that. But you're telling me a manager in a contract walk year isn't trying to do everything possible to win division title? I mean, come on. Let's like. There's a reason they're doing this. They truly believe this is the best for everyone involved, and gives them the best chance to win in the long term.
I do feel like this decision is being made with guys with the pencils and the nerdy glasses on, more so than I think it's being made by the actual like baseball people. But
I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, because like they're. Trent Blanken, their overall pitching coordinator, the guy who found Brian Wu and Bryce Miller, and then like her help find them guys, Pete Woodworth. They have a pitching analyst, Joel Furman, pride of the Cougs.
Let's go.
And then service, and they have also their health staff too. They look at, they measure it differently. They have their.
Is that Lorena? Is she still there? Or?
No, it's not Lorena. It's. Rob Scheidegger and the trainers. Rob Scheidegger.
Where is Lorena Martin? Is she around?
I don't know. Probably using her settlement money somewhere. So, no, I'll ask. I'm 99% of what the answer I'm going to receive, and then I'm sure Scott is an avid listener to the podcast, so maybe he'll have a smug ass answer prepared for me. But like,
I'm sure it is.
90% of the questions we ask, we know the answers to, but it's like they have to say it because fans, like, they don't believe us. So that's fine.
Well, ask them something they don't expect.
Well, I used to, but it's not as enjoyable anymore. And
well,
like, another thing, like, and God bless Root for showing the post game pressers and hearing my stammering questions and all this other stuff.
You do stammer,
but they don't show all of it. And like some of this stuff, I'm not asking. We ask it daily, pregame, postgame, whatever. I don't ask it with the cameras on. Like I don't want to just give the information out for free.
You're like old school Hickey. Remember when Hickey would make people leave so he could ask his own questions?
You're trying. Like if I have a decent relationship with these people where they're going to tell me stuff, I'm not going to do it in front of the camera because one, I don't want to make it about me. I don't want to do I asked, he told me, like, oh my God. No, I just, it was like with Winker. Like we knew Scott Service didn't want to play Winker in left field. We knew it. Why? Because we asked. We didn't do it on the camera because he's not going to say it on the camera.
Yeah,
Is he going to tell us? It's like, are we going to get do you think I enjoy playing this guy every day in left field and see?
Hey, he's available. You want to bring him back?
I mean, I want him to bring back Toro and Jesse Winker. That's who if you want contact, if you want more contact, better batting average, then bring back Abraham Toro. He makes contact.
Yeah, damn right. Okay, so let's put the finishing touches on this one, and then we can move on. My last point would just be on this. I just think that in competition, right? It's measuring. It's a measuring stick series. It's like, where are you at? You want to put the best up against their best. Now and again, I know their pitching staff has been rattled with injuries, but this is their best that they're going to throw out at Seattle. So,
Verlander's not pitching.
Well, I'm saying the best that this year that they have right now. I would just say that I think there's symbolism on a series like this, and I think that you want, and momentum is a huge thing in sports. And if they come in here, and win the series, sweep them, and then all of a sudden now we're jumped up on you right out of the gate. I think sometimes that momentum can be a factor, and let's say in a week or two they pull off some big splash for somebody, whoever that is. Yeah,
I guess, but like the Mariners had all the freaking momentum in the world when they were 10 games up. They beat the Guardians, and all of a sudden it went to shit. Like momentum is kind of the next day starting pitcher, and their starting pitchers are good.
Oh.
I don't know. I kind of look at it. Yeah, if they say they lose 2 out of 3 in the series and they go down a couple games, is the season over? No. And like say they sweep the series, I think Houston's good enough that it doesn't really matter, and Texas will still probably make a late run because they hit. So I don't think that any of it. Again, like to me, get to 90 wins or whatever the win total you think is going to win the division. It doesn't matter how, just get to it.
Okay.
Find a way.
You think that's what it is? 90?
Yeah.
That's the number?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think. What are they?
They're 52 and 46.
How many games they got left? 63?
Don't make me do math. Don't make me do it on top of my head. I can't do it. I thought you would be prepared for that.
I don't know. What 89 won it last year? 90.
Okay.
The problem is this might be the only avenue to get to the postseason.
Highly likely, don't you think?
90 would probably get you into a wild card, but you don't know. It's hard to say what I haven't looked at the remaining schedule and everything.
64 games left.
64. So to get to 90, they're at 52. They got to win 38.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 538. I don't think that's impossible. That's a good number.
Did you say that's close to what?
I don't know.
What's that winning percent? Close to 54?
I don't know. Is it 54?
Yeah. What does their schedule look like?
560, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I was being a smart ass. They got some big series. They got to play Boston the second half of the season there. They got to play Philadelphia. The Mets are playing a little bit better. They got to see Pittsburgh. God, I hope they play Skeens.
Yeah.
I do hope they face Paul Skeens. Would be great. They got the Dodgers still on their schedule, the Giants.
Tankathon has them as the 26th toughest schedule remaining. 26th.
Oh, really?
Overall. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's based on records now. So it's like at this moment. They have 3, 6. So they have 9, 12. see, like they have the Cardinals as a good team. I don't think the Cardinals are a good team. They have a winning record, but like they have 6 versus the Astros, 3 Red Sox, 3 Dodgers, 3 Phillies, 3 Yankees. They still have 6 versus the Angels, 7 versus the A's, 3 versus the White Sox. I mean, the thing is with this team, like again, like if they don't hit, it doesn't. They can lose. I mean, that's what happened in the White Sox series. They didn't hit. Crochet shoved on them, and they didn't hit, and they lost the game, even when they got a quality start from.
You're right. You're right. It's the offense, and has been, and you detailed it. I mean, you detailed it. You and Jude, and in the Times, and kind of looking out to the second half of the season. All right, the Jerry talk. I guess the front office talk. Both guys go on the local radio stations this week, and it seemed kind of calculated to me. Maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know. But the line here coming out is, and then maybe the way I view it is, hey, it's going to be tough to make trades. Don't blame us if we can't do it because everybody else is still in contention. Which, again, there is truth to that, and I'm not dispelling that. Because there is truth to that, for sure. Because there are so many teams still in the wild card race, and it does take the other team to want to deal with you. But it goes back to, this is why in the offseason, this is why you go spend the money for players, so you don't put yourself in this position at the deadline to go out and do this. What did you make of their comments? What did you make of the Dipoto quote, which is an all timer to me? Quote: "We are open to doing something that has the potential to be dynamic." I need that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really surprised by anything that either said. I mean, like, Jerry kind of wore it and said, "I built this roster, and it hasn't. It's underperformed." I mean, like, he takes the blame, but then also mentions, well, these guys underperformed to their expected levels. And like, yeah, nothing really surprised me because, like, we've talked about it before on here about the problem with where the draft is right now. I think there might have been more movement trade deadline wise, but teams understand the importance of the draft. It's too late. It's too late in the season, And then too, like, this third wild card has gummed up the mix in terms of. I do think like the last day of the trade deadline day, some teams will take that decision right up till the end. I mean, Dipoto did it a little earlier, but at that point he looked around and there's 7 games. I think were they 5 games back last year or 4, and they decided we're going to move Seawald or whatever. It was, I mean, like, teams will try and do both or thread the needle. The Rays will make some moves probably. The one I was curious about is the Pirates, if they would make some moves, because their owner or the reports about them having,
he doesn't want to spend any money.
Well, they don't have any money to spend.
That's right.
And that they may have to reduce payroll. So, like, the Mariners' longtime dream of Brian Reynolds is out there or whatever. So, like, maybe that's it. I don't know that to be certain. Like, that's an avenue. I'm sure. Like, they're not. Like, these guys know they need to add. They're trying, but people keep talking about Brent Rooker from the A's. He's a little streaky. He strikes out, but he would help them.
Of course.
The Mariners have had a rough time getting trades with the A's done over the last few years. They offered 4 players for Matt Chapman when they were trying to trade him, including Noel V. Marte and Brandon Williamson in the deals that, sent other places. And the A's said no. No. I mean, the Mariners tried to just, like, right that year, they tried to add Seth Brown as a bench piece, and like a good left-handed hitter. The A's were like, nah, we need him.
You and I last time talked about this. I talked about it today with Jim on the Daily Puck Drop. Like, I would love a splash trade. To me, in a perfect world, if they got, the number one, like, dream player for me would be Guerrero.
Yeah,
I just think if
he's available,
and I know it takes. They've said it. They've been adamant he's not available. I'm just saying, in a dream scenario, if they've been kind of BSing this whole time, but and you make him an offer, that's the guy I would want. Okay, so let's take him off. That's like the big splash. I don't necessarily think they need the big splash guy, and that's like Guerrero and Luis Robert and guys like that. we've last week or 2 weeks ago talked about Lamont Wade, like a combo of these guys. Lamont Wade Jr. makes your team better. He just does. The guy hits, gets on base, high OPS, doesn't strike out. Lane Thomas makes your team better. You can put him in right field. You brought up Jansen, the backup catcher for Toronto. That makes your team better, even though he's struggling. But you need a guy that who can back up Cal Raleigh, because they can't keep doing this Garver thing, because it's gonna bite them, and it already has. And then, there's relievers out there. I mean, Tanner Scott for the Marlins, they're gonna probably move him.
He walks too many guys though.
Yeah, but they need another arm.
Yeah, I mean they'll do more of a middle relief guy.
What about the Finnegan guy? You think they'd go out and get him?
Maybe. I mean, like they won't overpay for a reliever. Like they won't. They'll have their pitching guys have guys that they'll look at and say this guy's better than what people think.
But let's take those. But take the three position of players. I mean, whether it's, again, Giants are still kind of in it anyways. But guys like that. Yeah, they're not sexy names, but they're good ball players that make your team better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, name value shouldn't be as important as, do they fit? And do they fit what you need? Name value, sure, Luis Robert is great, but, if you can't access it, or if they're asking for, 7 guys, then there's a point of diminishing returns on what Luis Robert can give you versus, because I mean, you have 5 guys or something to get Luis Robert, and they're all your best guys. I mean, you're talking about a 2-year window for him to produce is all. It's probably only a 2-year window that you have anyways with how expensive some of these guys are going to get. Have you just killed your future for a guy that might only incrementally make you 1 or 2 wins better and might not be the difference in the postseason? Whereas if you add a couple guys for lesser prospect value that make your lineup a little bit more consistent instead of just huge impact in homers, but get you better in terms of getting more guys on base or hitting better with runners in scoring position, those type of things. I think, I would argue that 3 good small pieces or 3 good middling pieces makes you better than 1 huge guy that you don't even know for certain is going to be on the field a lot. The thing with late night Lamont and Rooker, what you're going to get. These guys play a lot. They are kind of who they are. Rooker's actually had a better year than even last year, but you kind of know who they are and what to expect a little bit more than with Robert. You just don't know if he's going to play, and that's
sure
scary. The availability sometimes is the biggest ability.
The another guy I thought about, but again, this is another team that's that's right in the thick of things for a wild card spot in the National League. But you just keep hearing reports that Arizona may want to move on, they may want to trade guys, but they're kind of caught in that in between, right? Whether they want to acquire guys or move on for guys. But let's say they get into the position, they get closer to the deadline, they say, we want to part ways. Jock Peterson to me.
Mm-hmm.
Bring him in. Here's a guy that everywhere he goes, he delivers.
Yeah,
everywhere.
I mean, he's a little positionally limited. You don't really
Just
want to
DH
put him in
him.
the outfield because he's built like you these days. But I mean, he's got the John Kruk build right now. It's impressive. But I mean,
beautiful.
Those kinds of pieces, because when the Braves won the World Series that year, they lost Acuna. He blew his knee out, and they didn't go splashy. They got Adam Duvall and they got Peterson, and they picked up Jorge Soler, who at the time was kind of a failed. He'd hit some homers, but he wasn't this monumental piece. And they put it together and won that way. I mean, you could make the argument the peripheral pieces like a Lamont Wade or a Rooker makes you better overall, and by in turn could make your hitters that you do have better as well. Whereas Luis Robert, it's really cool. He hit some really highlight homers, but is he a better overall player? He is when he plays, but again, that's the thing. You don't know. And I mean, the whole Jazz Chisholm thing, he doesn't really fit with what they want.
Right.
He doesn't make a ton of contact. He's not great defensively. He can run a bit and he can pop a homer, but again, does he pop the homers because he's in his park versus here? Like, I just don't think that that's the fit, you know. And listening to them, like, they sit there and talk about got to add more contact or whatever, and this and that. I mean, that's none of the guys on the market are great contact guys per se.
Did you come across? But would you come away and listening to them this week? Think that they'll be active at the deadline, or positioning themselves for a deadline that comes and passes without a significant move?
No, I think they're going to be active. I've talked to some people within the game that said they've been active. They've been calling on everybody. Like,
Okay.
they're calling on everybody and trying to, you know, find out, hey, are you guys going to go? Are you going to sell? This is what we have. This is, you know,
Okay.
I mean, I know they've talked to the Rays about this stuff.
Sure.
You know, and it wasn't based off the Morosi tweet yesterday. It's
okay. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. But like, no, like, they've had discussions. They're not unaware. I mean, remember, we've talked about this. These guys are in kind of walk years of their contract. They got to get to the postseason. I don't think they're still around. So they're trying to make moves. It's just a matter of is there a diminishing returns price, or is there, like, you know, are these teams just waiting?
All right. So you went there. I mean, we both have journalism degrees, and so now you actually use it, and I did not. Okay, but in my core, like, I believe somewhere deep down, hidden by the peanut butter and pizza and beer, is still like a journalist at heart. And when I see stuff like this, and I know the day and age of media is different. I mean, I acknowledge it. It's not the same anymore. But when I see something like this, it just irritates me, because it's such a non-report trying to pretend to be a report.
Yeah.
And it's just a comment. It's just a comment. It's just an opinion. And all you had to do was just say, here's my opinion. But, and I know John Paul. I mean, when he was an intern, when he was an intern at the PI, I think it was our first or second year covering the team. He was there, but he tweets out, sources: the Mariners and Rays have yet to engage in serious dialogue about Seattle's interest in adding an impact bat, but the teams are frequent trading partners and talks could advance in the days ahead. I mean, that's not a report.
Well,
it's just an opinion. You don't need sources to tell you that.
Well, it's like, I mean, I guess it's a report that they haven't engaged in serious talks, but what is the relation to serious? I mean, like, the Mariners can just simply say, hey, look, we want to talk to you. If you guys decide to move, or if you guys are willing to move Yandy Diaz or Paredes or whoever, we want you to call us, because we have prospects. I mean, like, if you look at the Rays, they need catching terribly bad. I mean, like, there's a fit, down the road.
Sure.
So, like, I think anytime you get to the weird reporting time of this year, it's a lot of people talking, and like, when I was first starting in this business, I got caught up in it a little bit. Like, you're trying to, I got something, somebody told me this. At some point, like, it's just not worth it, because, like, it doesn't really further anything. And all it does is just stoke up more nonsense. Like, to me, I've talked to people about what the Mariners are looking for, what they're not. I've heard from other, scouts from other teams. I mean, there was a scout from the White Sox, sat on Clase and Hancock and guys down in Tacoma, was there specifically to watch them. I don't think I'm sure we know why. The Mariners have talked to the White Sox about stuff. So it's like, the Mariners talked about trying to add Luis Robert when they got Gregory Santos this year. So, yeah, I mean, like, there's stuff there, but, like, all you do by doing that is set expectation value for something that may or may not happen. And I mean, the amount of possible trades that have been discussed and even kind of furthered along to the point where you think it may happen that don't, it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And so it's like, to sit there and do that. But I mean, that's the market and the stuff that they're in. And, like, to me, I wasn't gonna, I don't want to sit there and like, do that. Like, I look at these national guys. I'm good friends with Passan, and we text a lot and whatever. And I like Kenny, and I respect the hell out of him. Kirk Jim. I'm taller than all of them, which makes me happy. Like, if you're a national reporter, you have to be short. And JP is one of the nicest guys in the world, but, like, I could never do their job. I could never chase transactions like that. I could never worry about that kind of stuff. It's miserable. And this time of year, like Heyman and Nightingale, like, I just don't want any part of that. And so I kind of look at it like, yeah, sometimes I'll break some stories or have some news, but I'm not going to sit there and like, you know, pester every person about it because what happens is not everybody knows, but they act like they know, and then you get to a bad report. And I had that happen before, and I'm just not going to go down that road because, like you said, we do have some ethics thanks to the fine institutions we went to in terms of journalism.
Course.
And so we don't want to do that.
Paredes makes the most sense.
I guess. I think Diaz is the best of the three. I think he's the best. I think he's the best hitter of the three. Paredes, like if you look, it's just all pull side. It's all pull side power. Does that really work here? I mean, like, you know,
what's Diaz through? What's his contract? Because Paredes is through. He's not a free agent until 28.
Yeah. Like, I think Diaz is free agent after 26, maybe. But, you know, I don't.
Yeah, he's got a club. He's old. I didn't realize how old he was.
He's older.
You know, club at 34, free agent at 35.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, Rosarena's older too. I don't know. Paredes is like, you look at the numbers and like the exit velocity and all the stuff you like. It's a lot of just pull side homers. Well, Tampa is really good for that. T-Mobile is not really good for that.
Right.
And he's not like special defensively or anything either. So.
Do you okay, last thing for you, and this has been a long visit. I'm sorry. Last thing for you. You don't have to spend much time on this one. Do you think teams, including the Mariners, will start readjusting how they think about batting average and just putting the ball in play? Because
I think they already have.
Okay.
I think they already have. I don't think that it's like batting average, like the metric, it has its flaws as to whether you're good or not. Because like I mean, like, because not all batting averages are created equal. I mean, like when Edgar hit 330 versus Ichiro's 330, it's vastly different. That's why I think on base plus slugging and things like that, contact rate, like quality of contact rate, all that stuff, I think matters more to teams than batting average. They measure it out. But batting average is what everybody knows, so it's still available. Some teams don't even put it up there anymore. They just
what do you think their new? Yeah, what do you think the new number is? Right, when we've grown up, 300 was the number. Yeah. What's the new 300? I asked Jim this, and he said 250. I said 275 would be the new number.
I think it's about 285.
Okay.
There's only like 6 players over 300 right now.
No, it was 12. There's 12 over 300. Or maybe I looked at it wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong. I think I saw 12. 10 years ago, through a full season, it was 17 that hit 300. If you go back 20 years, which is just remarkable, Ichiro that year hit 372. Barry Bonds, and you're right, not every average is created equal because that year Barry Bonds hit 362.
Yeah, 362 with how many bombs and
exactly.
I mean, like, you look at the Mariners.
But there were 36. Hold on, there were 36 players in 2004 that hit 300 or better. And I brought up 275 because if you look at 275 right now, there are, I think, 39 players currently that are at 275 or better. So I just kind of thought, well, maybe that's the number now.
Yeah, 285 or something, like right around there. I mean, like, to me, you know, you look at the Mariners and it's the amount of swing and miss in situations, strikeouts in situations, and they don't hit a lot of doubles. They don't hit a lot of extra base hits. It's either a homer, because the quality of contact is either single or homer. It's either extreme quality of contact or it's not. I mean, like, and that's, you know, we got into that era of launch angle and elevate and celebrate and all that stuff, and it does reduce your contact rate. So, like, maybe we're going to see people more like the Evan Whites of the world back in the day when he first came up and then changed everything, trying to get more ball in the air. Not like, just hit the ball freaking hard.
Just hit it.
Just hit it hard. You know, I mean, I think that's where we're at, because like the sinker, like everything kind of comes back cyclical. I don't think you're going to see guys up there choking up and doing the Pete Rose stance and everything like that. But I do think
it'd be nice.
Like, and I don't think, you know, like the guy that hits the slap and tickle 300 is going to be that valuable unless they can run. Like, you gotta, the 300 has to have some meaning behind it a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and again, I'm going to pick one player that's the extreme, but I mean, do we shift more back to the Stephen Kwan like players?
Yeah. I mean, like, he's so different now. But he actually has some power quotient to him, and because he's athletic and because he can run, like he has doubles.
Yeah, but I think it's like, back in our day, but the 300 hitter who hit 20 to 25 home runs, but also doubles, like that's the damn good player. Now we've lost that. It's not a good player anymore for some reason, because that guy's got to hit 40 home runs.
Well,
I get the game has changed, but
I mean, like 300 is a good number. So Nelson Cruz in the 1 year with the Mariners in 15, he hit 302 with a 936 OPS. He had 22 doubles, 44 bombs, and 93 RBI. I mean, like, that's pretty good. 271 with 40 bombs. And that's the thing. Like, Nelson Cruz got to be a better hitter as he got older. He got better. Like his second last year, 17 season. I mean, look at this. Nelson Cruz had a 288, 375, 549 slash line,
great,
28 doubles, 39 homers, 119 RBI. I mean, like, he hit more than 37 homers in every season he was with Seattle. 44, 43, 39, 37.
Yeah.
And then the 1 year he hit 37-18, he was dinged up and he had the hand injury and he hit 256. And then the next year he goes to Minnesota in 2019. 2019, Nelson Cruz, 311, 392, 639 slug, 639. He had over 1,000 OPS. He had 41 homers, 26 doubles.
How old was he?
He was 38 years old.
I don't think he gets appreciated enough.
No,
by not only Mariner fans, but baseball.
He hit 464 homers.
He's just a stud, an absolute,
and one of the nicest
stud.
Human beings ever.
Yeah. So. Well, and you know who else is one of the nicest human beings ever? You.
Not me.
No, yes, and you. This was a long visit. This is way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long, right? We took up way too much of your time today. Ryan Divish with us every Wednesday and Friday. My apologies. Well, I'll make this shorter. I promise moving forward. We'll make it shorter.
I don't mind it. Like, it's fun
wanted
talking
to hear
about it. I'm sure I came off like being mean and like, oh, I'm agreeing with the Mariners. Like, I don't. People have every right to be pissed that they're not starting Logan Gilbert. But it's a misnomer to say that they don't care. It's a misnomer to say that they didn't think about it. Like, they have real reasons why they did it. You may not agree with them, but to sit there and say that, like, when they slotted this out, they just kind of guessed at it or they did it for a reason. No, they have their reasons. And I'm sure in their mind, their reasons are, like, they exist
Makes
so that
sense
they can win the division. Yeah, sure. So they can win the division. Because, like, again, as we pointed out, like, we're looking at this. These guys essentially are trying to play for their jobs a bit. Like, if they with the contract situation is, like, they need to make the postseason. I'd be stunned if they didn't and they kept him around. I mean, it's just, to me, like, they're trying, like, they want to win. Well, they certainly want to win more than me. Like, I don't care, whatever, but they want to, like, you're around it every day. These guys care about winning, and every decision they make is made. Even pulling Logan Gilbert after 7, they think that's giving them their best chance to win. Because, as I was going to explain, when, like, people are going back on this, they're not thinking on the Gilbert thing when they pull it, because, like, Service goes, well, our bullpen was thin, that's why they went to both. But they're not expecting Ryan Stanek to get hurt within 4 pitches and come out of the game. They're thinking, we have a 2-run lead, Stanek pitches 1 inning, Munoz pitches the other, you go get on a flight and everybody goes and has a margarita. Like, they're not expecting the worst possible. Maybe they should, because it's the Mariners. They're not expecting the worst possible scenario to happen and force them into something there. I mean, like, that's the problem. Like, they, once Stanek got hurt, all the math that they had, because, like, people would have been pissed about pulling Logan, but if Gilbert or if Stanek throws a scoreless inning and Munoz throws a scoreless inning, nobody says a thing. Like, everybody's happy flight, happy fans. Everything's like, oh, yeah, salvage something going into the break. So, I don't know. I mean, who knows? We'll ask him today. Like I said,
Can't wait.
I'll preface it by saying, in the questions I think I already know the answer to, Scott, I won't throw Twitter fans or fans under the bus.
Yeah, they just want to know. They want to know. You're the best. There he is, Ryan Divish. Every Wednesday and Friday brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Again, Washington's oldest bowling alley, established in 1941, located in historic Tacoma's Proctor District. Family owned and operated for 40 years. Frederick Family specializes in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience while at their unique 12-lane facility. Go to chaletbowl.com to make your next reservation. Have a wonderful weekend. We will talk to you next week. Thank you, Ryan.
See you guys.
There he is, Divish. He's on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and, of course, right here at pucksports.com.